Media.
You're listening to
Path of the Jedi.
with your host, Ronnie Cruz.
All right, welcome to Path of the Jedi, the podcast where Star Wars meets personal development. My name is Ronnie Cruz, your host for this scattered adventure. That's right, scattered. Which I'm pretty confident that I've used that word before in the past. Being scattered is not anything new to me, but I thought it was very apropos for today because we're supposed to talk about the season 2 premiere of Andor. Now, this episode, holy cannoli, 54 minutes jammed packed. It is literally all over the place, and that's one of the reasons why I chose the word scattered. It takes place on 4 different planets. Well, actually 5, because it starts. Cassian starts off on a different planet than he ends up on. So four or 5 different planets. So literally all over the place. 4 different storylines that somehow are all tied together, but 4 independent storylines. So that's all over the place. And then there's just so many different themes. There, like because the writing is so good, right? The writing is so good. There's so many different themes that we could easily hone in on and target and expand on and talk about here on the show. That like I feel really just scattered, right? Like it's been really hard to kind of rein it all in. I've watched the episode. I've literally rewatched that episode at least 5 times today, and it's 54 minutes, so that's been a lot of time. But at the same time, I am feeling very scattered as well. It's one of those days where I'm just feeling really. It's been difficult to focus and concentrate, and so trying to rein in something like this premiere episode, the season 2 premiere of Andor, which is so full of themes and plot and story and just so much happening, dialogue, like everything is happening. I have not been able to do it. I haven't been able to rein it in. So I'm actually going to give myself more time. I'm going to give myself more time, and give myself more rewatches. I think I need at least a few more days. So today is actually not going to be what I said it was going to be. I know. Last week I told you today we're gonna kick off our Andor conversation, but let's just count today as a bonus episode, and discuss something that I wanted to actually continue. That I wanted to expand on from last week. I talked about celebrating your wins, right? And how important that is, especially when you're finding yourself in a less than optimal state, right? If you're finding yourself in a little bit of a depressive state, or going through a depression, celebrating your wins, no matter how small, no matter how big, just celebrating everything that you've been able to accomplish, really is a helpful tool to get you through those times when you're feeling down, right? When you're feeling a little under, and that certainly is something that I'm going through at the moment. Part of which is experiencing days of difficult focus and difficulty focusing and difficulty concentrating. I really want to talk about that and talk about how important it is. If you feel overwhelmed, right? If you feel that life is a challenge right now, you're not alone. First of all, I think many people are feeling that way, and especially if you're going through a depressive episode. I've actually, this is the most open I've been publicly, anyways, especially on a platform like a podcast. How this is the most open I've been about my depression. Right, it's something that I've lived with my entire life. The anxiety, the depression, going through these cycles, and I'm kind of in one right now. I'm kind of in the thick of one, and the last handful of weeks, no, actually, the last handful of months have been really tough, and to do just normal everyday things can feel like monumental tasks, right? Like to muster up the energy to do the simplest the simplest and most mundane of tasks is not easy. There are days where it is not easy. I will admit that. Again, today the particular challenge is focus and concentration. Amidst all of these challenges, amidst the struggle and having to muster as much energy as you can, every day can feel like a battle, right? Every day can feel like you are at war with yourself, it's really, really important, again, to shift as much as you can, to shift away your focus away from, at least give your head, give your mind, give your brain something to think about, something to celebrate, something to have a little bit of spark of joy, right? And again, when I say celebrate your wins, it doesn't have to be anything monumental, right? It can be something as simple as getting out of bed, which sometimes it can be difficult to do, right? It can be difficult to do. So what does that look like? What does celebrating your wins really mean? Well, I think for me, it means giving yourself a pat on the back for doing things that might be at this moment for you, or for at any given moment, difficult, right? Celebrating the things that are a struggle. Celebrating the things that you really take monumental effort. Again, no matter how small or it's seemingly insignificant that thing might be, the amount of effort that you've put in deserves some celebrating, right? Deserves some celebrating. So, for example, some days, you got to celebrate just getting out of bed, right? You got to celebrate brushing your teeth in the morning, and you got to celebrate taking a shower and changing clothes, right? I know there are times when people just don't feel like doing anything, and because I know because I've felt that way, and I celebrate on those days. I celebrate when I do get out of bed. I celebrate getting out of bed, and I celebrate brushing my teeth and getting cleaned up and changing my clothes, right? So simple things like that. Other things today, the things I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating having watered the plants, right? I'm growing tomatoes up here by the house, so I celebrate that. I got that done, and then I've walked the dogs a bunch of times, celebrating that. For me, I do have a little bit of a challenge in that I like to tick things off. I like to check things off from a productivity standpoint, coming from my business and entrepreneurial background and my marketing background. Like I like to get shit done. I like to feel productive, and I like to feel like I've had good output, so to speak. And again, I want to remind you that you got to go easier on yourself when you're celebrating, right? Because not everything is about output. When it comes to your own mental health and well-being, the output really isn't part of the conversation. So I've learned to, over the years, not look at it from a sense of what did I get done, right, on my to-do list, or what thing moved the needle forward towards the goals and the outcomes that I want to achieve. It's really just celebrating doing the difficult things, and again, that can be anything. So celebrate your wins, right? And you can do this at the end of the day. You can do this in the middle of the day, whenever you feel like it, right? Whenever you feel like you need to pat yourself on the back. Some other things, and again, there's that part of me in the back of my head that still is like, man, I didn't really do shit today. But I celebrate recording this episode, even though it is not the episode I intended to record. It's still getting the show out there, and it's giving you guys something to chew on and something to think about. And hopefully it helps you if you ever find yourself in a similar state as I am right now, right? So yeah, celebrate the wins, big or small, no matter how seemingly insignificant, no matter no matter how seemingly mundane. We need to nurture and support ourselves in this way, right? I think it's really important, and especially, like it feels like it's like the world is constantly demanding more and more and more, and that the things that we do are never enough. Some days getting out of bed is all I can do, right? And so that's got to be enough, and so that has to be celebrated. So again, it's all about nurturing and supporting yourself. I mean, it's self-care, right? It's part of self-care. No, not like facials and mani-pedis. I mean, all those are great as well if you like those things, but that's not really self-care. That's just pampering yourself, right? Self-care is taking care of your well-being. It's taking care of your mental health and supporting yourself and giving yourself assurance when you just don't feel assured about anything. Right. So celebrate the wins. What else? Another thing that I did want to actually celebrate today, and because I completely forgot to talk about this last week, is my book. It's not really official yet. It's not done, but I have published the first chapter. Well, actually, I've published the prologue in Archive of Our Own. It's fan fiction. The book is called Star Wars Exiles. It's completely original story, original characters, of course, based on Star Wars, that I started working on in 2019. I started writing this thing, and like I'm 40, 50 pages in. I put it down for quite a while, and just recently, in the last couple of months, decided to pick it back up again. And one way to hold myself accountable to actually finishing this story is to publish it. And so I got I built up enough courage to actually publish it on Archive of Our Own, which is where you can read the prologue. I'll leave the link in the show notes of this episode. If you're into reading fan fiction, I hope you like it. I like it. It's an incredible amount of fun, it's one of those things that kind of another one of those things that is kind of nourishing, and nurturing and supporting me, right? Supporting myself, doing the things that fill my cup. So it's out there. I mean, check it out if you want. If not, no big deal. But I want to celebrate it because it means that at some point or another, I'm going to end up finishing the story. The prologue is out. I'm going to publish chapter 1 this coming week, sometime in the next day or two. So you can check it out. Again, I will leave the link in the show notes of this episode, or you can look it up. It's archiveofourown.org, and then do a search for me. Just do a search for Ronnie Cruz, RONNIECRUZ. So celebrate the wins, big or small. Celebrate those things, and you'll realize, again, especially this is a great tool, especially if you're feeling down. You'll get good at seeing that there are so many things that you should be proud of. Again, it can be the simplest of things, or it can be something like publishing on Archive of Our Own. Doing something that you've never done that takes a lot of courage. It could be anything, but you'll realize over time that that you do have a lot to celebrate, and that you do have a lot to pat yourself on the back for, and a lot to be proud of, despite how you might be feeling, right? If you're in a depressive state or going through a depression. So thank you for letting me share my story and my perspective and share these ideas. Again, my hope is that it helps you, navigate life and navigate the things that you're going through. In return, my commitment is to continue to deliver you guys episodes, despite and regardless of how I might be feeling on any given day or any given week. So this is one of those that not necessarily necessarily is not necessarily focused on Star Wars, but Star Wars is our common bond, and we'll get back to it. Next week we'll talk about season 2. The season 2 premiere of Andor, if not sooner than next week, right? I might get a bonus episode, a midweek episode out before next Wednesday, so that I don't fall too far behind. But we'll see what happens. But either way, definitely next Wednesday, we've got lots to talk about. That's for sure. That is for sure. But anyways, enough about that. Now it's time for the shout out. This week's shout out goes to YouTube user at callmeleo9343. That's right, call me Leo. So I will call you Leo. Leo, thank you so much. So Leo left a comment on last week's episode, on the YouTube version of last week's episode. So he must have caught it on YouTube Music, I think is the app. So if you're listening to this on YouTube, you can check it out. I'm not going to read the comment, but I will say that it is one of the kindest and nicest, most beautiful comments I've ever had, especially that it comes on the heels of a comment that I had not just a few weeks back, where the individual had called me pathetic, and not that got to me, but it's nice to, it's really I appreciate that Leo took the time and made the effort, really to go out of their way and to show some kindness, right? To show some kindness to the show, to show kindness to me, and express his gratitude. And so I want to express my gratitude back to Leo, because it means a lot. It really does mean a lot to hear that kind of feedback, and to hear that beautiful message and the beautiful sentiment in his comment. Very, very affirming that I'm headed towards the right direction, right? It's very validating of the intention and the purpose that I have behind this show, and it's proof that it's reaching the people it needs to reach, right? And Leo seems to be one of them. So Leo, thank you so much for, again, leaving me such kind words. As I mentioned earlier, it is my commitment to you to continue to deliver you content that can hopefully help you through whatever it is that you might be going through, even if it's just to entertain you, right? Right? Even if it's just for entertainment and for escape, but hopefully it's helping you beyond that. And so again, my commitment is to continue to do that for you, Leo. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Your comment means the world to me, and so that's why Leo, this week's shout out goes to you. Okay, so that's going to do it for this week, or at least for now, for today. Tune in next week, if not sooner, where we will definitely be talking about Andor Season 2. Again, there's so much to talk about. As of right now, I'm already 3 episodes behind, so I have to catch up. Well, I don't have to, but I like to put a little bit of pressure on myself, because otherwise it'll never get done, right? It'll never get done. I have to hold myself accountable for that. So, Andor, I assure you, will be the subject matter for the next episode. So until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and may the Force be with you.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company nor Lucasfilm Limited, and is intended for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names and sounds and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is intellectual property of Path of the Jedi unless otherwise indicated.